Hey YouTube, here's RRG's Journey, Chapter 1, Part 2, coming at ya. I couldn't upload the whole thing in one video because of YouTube's stupid 10-minute limit. Okay, here goes nothing.
Then started walking towards the door. Bern tilted her head and asked, "John, where are you going?" Blast paused, but didn't turn around. "We need to get some things before we leave." Bern nodded and followed her sister to the small room that had served as their bedroom. Everything, the walls, the carpets, were all a shade of gray. The beds, with their plain gray sheets, were now even grayer with a layer of dust. Blast easily shoved one of the beds aside with her super strength and peeled back part of the carpet, revealing a laser vision-made hole. Inside the hole was a purple backpack that was the team's secret. It had some non-perishable food in it that would last them a few days, a set of walkie-talkies they could communicate with should they get separated, and another thing, a book. It wasn't some cheesy novel or anything. It was a book that Bo had written. All of her strategies, fighting techniques, and battle tactics that rivaled those of the greatest military leaders in history were there, including detailed instructions on how to carry them out for those who couldn't read the diagrams. It also had some notes on what little information Bo could get on the outside world through a book or two that the researchers left lying around, or a website they forgot to block. It was, as they called it, Bo's Book of Wisdom. Blast pulled the backpack from its place and slung it over her shoulder. "All right, let's get out of here." "Wait!" Bern abruptly shouted. She was digging under the mattress of another one of the beds, looking for something. "I know it's here. Ah! Almost got it!" From under the mattress she pulled a magenta purse, her own special secret. "Bern? What's that?" Blast asked. Bern smiled and unzipped the purse. Inside there was an unprecedented amount of money. Blast was awestruck. "Where the hell did you get all that?" Bern kept smiling, but her expression darkened dangerously, her sweet, gentle eyes sharpening with a rarely seen fire of hate. "I never trusted Brisbane." The words fell from her lips dripping with venom, and Blast stared at her. Her little sister's voice rarely took on that tone, and it remained as she continued to speak. "From day one I didn't trust him. Something just wasn't right about him. I had this weird hunch that one day something like this would happen, so—" She pulled one of the $100 bills from the purse and held it up to the light. "I've been stealing this out of the researchers' pockets from the very start, just in case. I even got a few credit cards. It should be more than enough to help us get away." Blast stared at her. Out of all of them, Bern had always seemed to be the most trusting, and she always seemed to be off in her own little world, at least when they weren't in one of the simulated battles. She always seemed to have her head in the clouds and never seemed to notice what was going on around her. Guess that last part was wrong. Bern had seen the trouble Blast failed to. She'd seen it, foresaw the outcome, and acted. Blast was proud of her. "So is that everything?" Blast asked. Bern nodded. "Well then," Blast said, walking out into the courtyard, "how about we burn this place to the ground and get out of here?" Blast lifted off the ground and kept rising for the first time in her life. There was no field of energy to hold her back as she rose confidently into the night sky. "Coming?" she asked, looking down at her sister, who smiled and joined her in the sky. Bern knew one more thing had to be done before they were truly free. "May I do the honors, Ni-chan?" she asked. "Knock yourself out." With that, Bern slung the purse over her shoulder, put her hands out in front of her, and her eyes got a dangerous look to them. Fire burst from her palms and struck the dry field below, which lit up like a gasoline-drenched match. There was a crackling sound to Bern's right, and she turned her head to see Blast charging up an electrical energy surge, which she fired at the lab. The explosion that followed ensured Blast had hit some electrical equipment. The two girls continued to fire attack after attack until the building was a white-hot, raging inferno. After their work was done, they stood on a nearby hill, watching everything familiar to them vanish into flames. Bern clung to her sister's arm and asked, "What are we gonna do, Ni-chan?" "The only thing we can do, Bern," Blast said, her eyes becoming serious. "We're going to find our brothers." With that declaration, The two rowdy rough girls walked off into the night. They were finally free, but their journey had just begun.